My name is Steve, and I love capitalism. That's why I made this channel, Steve Loves Capitalism. And I'll make a video on my other channel on why I made this channel, because I don't really want to get into it here. So let's get straight into this video. I figured you can barely hear the person I'm going to debunk or talk about. So I figured it'd be good if you can barely hear me as well. So, let's do this. This is, link to original video in description. This is my good friend, Benji Adam Wiskets. I mean, that kind of sounds sarcastic, but I do like him. I mean, he's just ill-informed. He's not a bad person. So, I like him, I subscribe to him, I watch his videos. Even though they're pretty boring, at least the recent ones, they're just tributes to people. I'm like, that's boring, give me something good. Anyway, this one is a couple months old. This is from the 18th of August, 2017. And it's called Communism Is Not As Bad as Fascism. Let's get this rolling. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear him or not. I can barely hear him. That's just why you should go watch the original video and subscribe to him, like the video, comment on it. Don't be mean. Don't leave a mean comment. If you're going to disagree with him, do it in a nice way. I'm being serious. If you're mean to this person, don't subscribe to me. If you're mean to the people that you disagree with, don't subscribe to me.
Hello, comrades. Now, after this big new
Hello, comrade.
Nazi rally in Charlottesville the weekend, people have been...
Oh, they weren't Nazis. They weren't the National Socialist German Workers' Party. They were white nationalists. Or fascists. But they weren't Nazis. I mean, they were bad people. They're racist. They're white nationalists. But technically not Nazis. So, there you go. I know that's kind of a nitpick, but still.
condemning neo-Nazis and fascism, and condemning the fact that it's rising again in America and across the world.
Not really. I mean, nationalism by itself maybe. But nationalism, it sounds bad, but it's not necessarily bad. Sure, statism isn't exactly good, but it's not as bad as communism.
Now, in response to this condemnation, people who are basically Nazi apologists just don't admit to it.
Basically Nazi apologists. Oh yeah, Hitler did nothing wrong. The Holocaust never happened. I'm a Nazi apologist. Yeah, Hitler killed millions of people. The Holocaust happened. It was bad. The Holocaust was bad. I'm not a Nazi apologist, okay?
But have been saying, actually, well, Nazism and communism are just as bad.
Yes, they are.
Because there were communists protesting against the neo-Nazis, and so people have been saying, well, actually, condemn the Nazis and the communists because they're just as bad. This is a complete rewrite of history.
A complete rewrite of history, you say? I wonder which ideology had more people die under it.
To claim that communism and Nazism are even close to comparable is...
No, they're not very comparable. I would say communism is far worse.
Just so wrong. Firstly, let's compare the theories behind communism and fascism and what each system attempts to...
It's actually very warm in here right now, so... And wearing this helmet, wearing this configuration is pretty uncomfortable, so... Hopefully this doesn't take too long.
...achieve. Fascism is all about the race war, in the sense that fascists...
well, fascism isn't necessarily about a race war. The first definition I found of fascism, I just clicked on the first one that came up, was, a political philosophy, movement, or regime, such as the fascisti, probably not pronouncing that right, that exalts nation and often race above the individual that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition. Now, I'm gonna take the helmet off. This mask. Wait. I can't do that. I just can't do that. This mask is made for a very, German face type, which I don't have, so it, like, cuts into my forehead. And it's pretty uncomfortable. So, no mask. So you can probably hear me a little better now. But you still won't be able to hear him. It says often race on the individual, but it's not definite. And it says exalts nation. It's ultranationalism, basically. That's what it is. Like, ultranationalism to the extreme is what fascism is. And I do say, he does, I know this is a nitpick again, but you do, Benji, if you're watching this, which you might, I don't know, you use Nazi and fascist interchangeably, and they're technically not the same thing. Again, this is a nitpick. But Nazi is just the National German Socialist Working Party. What? Wait, it's right here. National Socialist German Workers' Party. There you go. I get that mixed up all the time.
Their ideology is that their race is superior, and
again, that's more of a Nazi thing, not a general fascist thing. I mean, I don't have like a PhD or anything in this stuff, but I'm pretty sure that is more of a Nazi thing than a general fascist thing.
Culture is superior and their ethnicity is superior and all of that, and then they want to fight against the Jews or whoever they deem as their superior, the blacks or whatever, which is, a horrible, horrible ideology.
Yes, it is. I agree. Fascism is bad. But you know what else is bad? Guess what? Starts with a C. Ends with an M. Have you guessed it? It's communism.
And completely stupid, considering that race is just completely irrelevant to
Yes, race is irrelevant. See, we don't agree. We don't disagree on everything.
everything. But they honestly believe that race actually does make them superior.
Yes, and those people are stupid.
But yes, that's a horrible, horrible ideology. Communists, however, believe in the class war. We believe that the working class.
See, believing in a war in general isn't good. I would say, I don't know, I'm either libertarian or ANCAP, I don't know, I haven't decided, somewhere along there. I don't know if I'm a full-blown ANCAP, but let's just, for this argument, I'm gonna act like I am. But, okay, so, believing in a war in general is bad. We ANCAPs, the non-aggression principle is a thing where you don't hurt other people. That's just not something you do. Hurting anybody, whether they're oppressing you or not, is not a good thing. So, war is bad. Whether it's a class war, or a race war, or any other kind of war, it's not good. War is war. It doesn't matter what it's about.
Class is oppressed by the bourgeois in the system of the bourgeois means production, and rather than be racist and overthrow a so-called ruling race or so-called Jewish government or whatever, let's say, we want to overthrow the ruling class. So,
okay. Maybe I'm not smart enough to understand this. Maybe I'm too smart to understand this. Either way, that makes no sense. So, instead of overthrowing a Jewish person, you want to overthrow a equally innocent rich person? I mean, they're probably both Jewish anyway, but I'm sorry. That was a dumb joke. But so you want to overthrow the ruling class. Who's going to rule you then? You can't if you're ruling yourself, then aren't you the ruling class? I don't know. That's probably a dumb argument. But like, it's still violent. You're being violent to achieve your means. ANCAPs, we don't believe in violence. You don't need violence for good ideas. You only need violence to enforce bad ideas. And still, we don't enforce our ideas with violence. We put them out there, and then if people agree with them, they can agree with them. But the communists, as you said yourself, you want to overthrow people. You want to steal people's stuff. You want everything given to you because you're not willing to work for it. I know that's kind of a straw man. But that's the thing. So you want to overthrow the working class. The working class. Ugh. You want to overthrow the ruling class because you're too lazy to get to the ruling class? Is that it? I don't know. So, but what I'm picking up here is that you believe that you need violence to enforce your ideas. Which, if you need violence to enforce your idea, it's not good. I would just put that out there.
The bourgeois and give worker ownership over the means of production. So there's completely different ideologies just there. Fascists believe in fighting other races. We communists believe in fighting the wealthy.
Why? What did they do to you? Are there rich people, like, beating your parents up in front of you and, like, murdering your family in front of you with plastic spoons? What did the wealthy ever do to you? Is it because you don't want to work to be wealthy? You know how people get wealthy? Yeah, maybe they inherit their wealth from their parents, but do you know where their parents got it? They worked for it, or their parents worked for it. At some point in the line, they worked for it. They worked until they got the money and got to where they are. You're not just born wealthy. I don't have any money. My family doesn't have any money. But you know what? I don't hate rich people for that. And I'm not jealous of them either. I look up to them, and I hope one day, if I can work hard enough, and I can become wealthy. I don't hate the wealthy. I don't want to go steal their stuff from them. They can keep their wealth, and I'll earn my own.
Or anti-communists, and people saying that communism is bad because it's fascism, say that, well, in theory, yes, it might be different, but in practice, they're quite similar. But this statement is, well, completely stupid and another complete rewrite of history. In practice.
Rewriting history. Okay, I've watched this video before and I know what he's about to say. It's top notch.
Fascism and communism have been completely different.
Yes,
Fascism
completely different.
resulted in the genocide of millions of people.
Fascism resulted in the genocide of millions of people.
And the impoverishment of millions of more.
The impoverishment of millions of more. Yes, fascism did do that. Do you know what else did that? I'm not gonna say it. You know what I'm thinking. Yes, fascism was bad. Fascism killed millions of people. And it impoverished millions of people. And millions of people starved, I'd imagine, under fascism. But you know what other ideology millions of people starved and were impoverished under? You know what other ideology millions were genocided under? It's not fascism. Well, it is fascism, but there's another one that isn't fascism. I believe you. I believe you're. I believe you know about it, Benji. I believe you're familiar with it. Just gonna leave that there.
And millions more. Communism, however,
Did the exact same thing.
resulted in turning feudalistic countries that were victims of imperialism.
So, say a country does well under imperialism. Say that they're doing absolutely fine. Their economy is fairly good. Sure, there's basically slaves working the farms and everything. Slavery, I don't condone slavery, by the way, but this is just an example. But they're still not slaves. They're working the farm, and they can't rise up in a feudalistic society. But they still have food. They're working the farms. They get exactly what they need, and they give what they need to their lord or whoever is ruling over them. And it works pretty fine. It's not a good society by any means, but it's not horrible. And then someone comes along. It's like, you know what? If we all take our hammers and our sickles we're using to work these fields, because we work the field with hammers and sickles, and we overthrow this society, let's do that. And then they do that. And then those people, and then the people that did the overthrowing are now in charge. And there's just, it's basically a role reversal. The people that, the slaves are now in charge, and the people that were in charge are now the slaves. And are starving. And millions more people are starving than there were before.
Industrialized states gave healthcare and education to millions of people that didn't dream of having that before.
Yes. They had healthcare. They had education. They're both good. But here's the thing. While good things happened under communism, good things also happened under fascism. Neither are good. A good deed does not wash out the bad, and a bad does not wash out the good. If you know what that reference is from, please comment it, because it's fairly popular. But it's like he's like my favorite character. But it does stand true here. A bad deed does not wash out the good, and a good does not wash out the bad.
For example, Cuba has like the highest literacy rate in the world.
Let me check that real quick. I don't know if that's true. Let's just say what country has the highest literacy rate. Let's just click on the first thing that comes up. Why it matters? No, just give me the country. Just give me the country. Okay, that's not working. Okay, this is Russia. The country with the highest literacy rate is Russia, with almost 53% has education. It is estimated that 95% of adults in Russia have higher secondary education in countries. Okay. This says Andorra has the highest. Finland, Greenland, Liechtenstein. I don't know where Andorra is, but I'm pretty sure it was never communist. Finland was never communist. Except when it was controlled. Wait, was Finland? Oh, I'm messing up my history. I don't think Finland was ever controlled by the Soviets. The Soviets tried to take it, but they didn't. Greenland, Liechtenstein. Okay, those are the top 4. None of them were ever communist. Or at least, like, officially communist.
Improved the living standards for millions of people, lifted the standard and lifted millions of people out of poverty. And
yeah, so I'd imagine the people that did the overthrowing were lifted out of poverty. But you know who wasn't? The people who weren't doing the overthrowing.
Yeah, quite the opposite of what fascism did. Also,
not really.
So communists never privatized industry. Communism is about
No, they didn't privatize industry. The workers own the industry.
nationalizing industry and putting industry in the hands of the
Okay, it was already hard enough to hear you. Then you put music over it?
workers. Fascist governments such as Mussolini, Franco, Pinochet, Batista, and many more fascist governments
Didn't mention Hitler. Why not?
all privatized industry. Quite the opposite.
Yes, I'd imagine they did. Just because they privatized industry. Again, that's a good thing. Privatized industry is a good thing. But that doesn't make privatizing industry bad. Okay, so I heard that Hitler was a vegetarian. I don't know if it's true or not, but we'll use it as an example. If Hitler was a vegetarian, so Hitler, a bad person, I would say Hitler was a bad person. I would think that you, Benji, would agree with me that Hitler was a bad person. Was a vegetarian. So, does that mean being a vegetarian is bad? Let's see. What else? The Nazis were anti-smoking. Does that mean anti-smoking is bad?
Opposite of what communism is. In fact, that's exactly what capitalism is. Privatizing industry, putting industry in the hands of the bourgeois.
Yes.
So, you know...
Privatizing industry. That's what... that is a fair portion of capitalism.
Fighting the wealthy. How in response...
Oh, I skipped. I don't know where I was.
Millions of people lifted the industry and putting industry... Franco, Pinochet, privatized industry. Quite the opposite of what communism is. In fact, that's exactly what capitalism is. Privatizing industry, putting industry in the hands of the bourgeois. So, you know, fascism is actually just capitalism.
Whoa there. Okay. Slow down. No. Absolutely not. Okay, fascism, a political philosophy, movement, or regime such as that of the fasciste, that exalts a nation above race, the individual, that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, enforceable suppression of opposition. What capitalist society are you viewing that is that? First of all, that exalts nation above race and the other individual. First of all, in Ancapistan, there is no nation. There is no state. So how is it fascist? And race above individual. See, I can't believe how you just jumped from, oh, communism and fascism, totally not the same, to fascism, but communism and fascism aren't the same, but you know what is? Capitalism and fascism. That is totally the same.
Another thing is that most of the people that died to destroy fascism were communists.
Okay. How does that prove anything? Seriously, how does that prove anything? Okay, and the people that fought to destroy communism were capitalist. There you go.
Million Soviet people died in World War II, and that includes...
Yes, Soviets died in World War II. World War II is not a good thing.
Soldiers that fought Nazi Germany. There were plenty of communists fighting against Francisco Franco in the Spanish Civil War.
Yes.
In Italy and most of Europe, communists made up most of the anti-fascist resistance movement.
Just because communism is anti-fascist doesn't make it good. Fascism is anti-communist, and fascism is not good.
in Pinochet's Chile, communists made up the people fighting against Pinochet. The same with most Latin American fascist dictators, actually. Most of the people fighting them were communists.
Again, I don't know how many times I have to say this. Okay, just because the people doing something are a certain thing doesn't make that things... Okay, say Hitler came back. It's the exact same thing, World War II, but instead of the Soviet Union, it was... If the Soviet Union never happened, World War II is exactly the same, but it was the Tsardom of Russia, and the Romanov family was still in control. Would that mean that you think that imperialism is good because millions of imperialists died against the Nazis? Or if the Jews, if the millions of Jews, the Jews fought back really hard, instead of being put in concentration camps, they ended up overthrowing the Nazis. Would that mean that Jews are better than everybody else? No, it wouldn't.
So, yeah, it's also the Japanese Empire. Most of the people fighting the fascist Japanese Empire were communists.
Well, the Japanese Empire was technically imperialist.
So yeah, it's sort of an insult to these people who died fighting fascism, who were communists, to then compare them to fascists.
It's an insult to fascists who died fighting communists to compare them to communists.
I mean, you know.